So you've probably heard that the scheduled canonization mass for Blessed Carlo Acutis is now on hold. But even so, we're thrilled to celebrate his life through a new documentary in theaters coming this Sunday. And to discuss, we welcome back friend of the show, Jim Wahlberg, a film producer, writer, and director, as well as one of the Wahlberg siblings known throughout Hollywood and beyond. He is the author of The Big Hustle, the executive producer of Mother Teresa, No Greater Love. The new film, Carlo Acutis, Roadmap to Reality, is a Fathom event in theaters this Sunday, April 27th. Welcome back friend of the show, Jim Wahlberg.
How are you, Father? Very, very nice to be here again.
It's great to have you. I think this week probably wasn't going the way you think it was going to go. Is that fair to say?
It's interesting. Definitely not what I thought. I actually thought, and all indications I think were that that Pope Francis was maybe turning the corner for the better.
Yeah.
He was, he was out and about on Easter.
Yeah.
And then, shockingly, I woke up to a text first thing in the morning. First thing I looked at was, Pope Francis has passed and your premiere is canceled. Those are the two messages, right?
Two different texts. Well, because for those that aren't putting two and two together,
yeah, sure.
Carlo Acutis was to be canonized this coming Sunday, and you guys had timed the film to coincide with his canonization.
It was absolutely, and is, it was the perfect marketing tool, right? Was, hey, guess what we're going to do with our film? The guy that's the subject of the film is going to become a saint on the day that we release our film.
That's pretty cool. That doesn't always happen.
Yeah. The good news in reference to the film is that everybody involved, we prayed on it. We discussed it. We thought about it. We talked to Fathom. We talked to the bishops involved, and everybody was on the same page. No, we have to move forward. This little guy was Francis's guy. Right? Yeah. That's how we would say it in Boston, Father. This is Francis's guy, right?
This is his guy. And he's got his back. His guy.
And I'm a simple guy, right?
Yeah.
We're none of us are getting out of this thing alive, right? We all know that, right? And if you're going to be one person that when the time comes, that people can celebrate, that is the Pope. Right? Pope Francis, I think, fast track to heaven. He's talking to Jesus face to face right now. That kind of thing. That's the way I like to look at it.
Sure.
So, I moved on from shock and dismay to celebrate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is that when this happens, right? When a pope passes, right? We are the topic of every news station, Catholics around the world, right?
Oh, so believe me, I've been a part of a lot of them.
Yeah, parting gift from Pope Francis, right? Is that everybody in the world is talking and asking questions about Catholicism, right? And so, this is a big moment for us, right? And the world is watching. Yeah, the world is watching.
Jim Wahlberg is our guest here on the Busted Halo Show. He is the producer of the upcoming film Carlo Acutis, Roadmap to Reality. Probably a lot of people listening have heard the name. I know some people that were planning to go to Rome for the canonization because he's so popular. What was it that hooked you about this soon-to-be saint, the first millennial saint, the teenager who had a great devotion? But how did you get involved?
So I can tell you how I got involved was a gentleman from Texas, from Beaumont, Texas, reached out to me, and he sent me an email. Yeah, I want to make a movie, right? I want to make a movie. I want to make a movie about this kid. I could hear the Texas twang.
Oh yeah,
in the email, right?
In the email.
So by chance, and I get a lot of messages from a lot of people that want to make films, and by chance, I happened to be speaking in Beaumont, Texas at a Catholic men's conference just about 2 months later.
Wow.
And I'm there, I'm signing books after I speak, and I hear, I think you forgot to reply to my email. And I was like, I looked up and there was my new wonderful friend and brother. And he said, I really want to talk to you about this. And he very boldly, I knew very little about Carlo at this
Okay.
point.
Okay.
And, I want to say I'm a bit of a skeptic by nature, I think. Right. So I'm like, these other saints that I know about were martyred and, had their heads chopped off and, like doctors of the church. And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I was, but anyways, we talked and he was like, well, I said, movies are very expensive. They cost a lot of money. They don't look like they cost a lot of money, and he said, well, what'd you pay for that last one you did? So I gave him the number and he goes, okay, let's do it. Just that simply.
Meaning
Let's
like
do
that
it.
he was going to plunk down the
Yes.
old. Mhm.
And he did.
I guess he should have
And
said
so what
more
he
then.
did,
Yeah.
so
You should have highballed him.
hey,
Dang, it was a lot more actually.
I'm trying to live.
No, I know.
I'm trying to live a good life, right? So,
No,
but I
it's
want
better
to
you
say
told
this.
the truth.
So I spent an extra day in Belmont, and this gentleman and his foundation, they had built a summer camp for Catholic kids, and free for those who couldn't pay for it. Right.
Well,
So he's
yeah.
giving away a lot. Beautiful, beautiful camp.
Mhm.
And he takes me over there and he goes, I want to show you the chapel. We walk in, it's Blessed Carlo Acutis Chapel. Stunning, beautiful centerpiece of the entire camp.
Wow.
And he said, I built this place and I built this chapel. And then I asked Bishop Toops if he wanted to name the chapel.
Yeah.
He named it Blessed Carlo Acutis Chapel. I didn't know who he was. But of course, I wanted to know who he was at that point.
Right.
This guy ends up flying to Assisi to meet Carlo's family, to meet his mother.
Wow.
And he quickly developed a devotion to Carlo. And I think it's very important that I want to share this.
Okay.
So, sometimes people, they want to make a movie, they want to make money, it's an investment, that every penny that comes in from ticket sales that would have gone back in his pocket,
Right.
all of it's being given away, not the profits.
Yeah.
Every ticket sold, there's a split between Fathom and the filmmakers or whatever, how that works. But all that money is going to charity. He doesn't want any money back. He doesn't want any recognition. Didn't show up at the premiere. Doesn't want his name on anything. Doesn't
Really?
These are humble,
Wow.
salt of the earth people that just want to serve the Lord. And so it's my absolute honor to be associated with them.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Jim Wahlberg is our guest here on the Busted Halo Show. We're talking about the movie Carlo Acutis, Roadmap to Reality. And while the canonization is delayed, it'll definitely happen as soon as we have a new pope. Tell us about, because the movie is interesting. So it's not just a documentary and it's not just kind of only about Carlo, but you also follow these young people, these high school students who, as we heard in the trailer just now, some of them were like, I kind of struggle with faith. I don't know if I want to let my phone go or what's this going on. And it, as you were just describing, it kind of is a witness as to how people can be touched by somebody from beyond.
Yeah. So it really is Carlo in action, right? And what I mean by that is that, his message in reference to how he used the internet, right? He got you on the internet to get you off the internet, right? To get you into church, right? He taught you about these Eucharistic miracles, thinking that everyone's reaction would be like his reaction. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I'm going to church. Right. And so these young kids, it's amazing how well the trailer plays just hearing it.
Yeah.
I'm listening and I recognize the faces of these young people who are wonderful, amazing young people who I've been blessed to get to know a little bit. And sadly, they find out they're going to Rome and Assisi and, they're thinking about Italian food. They're not thinking about many of them are, I go to Catholic school because my family sends me to Catholic school. I don't believe much of this or any of this. I don't even know if I believe in God, right? For them to then find out they can't bring their electronics. And once your electronics are taken away and you get over the initial detox, right? Your head comes up and you start to look around and see the world and the beauty of the world particularly of Rome and Assisi, and the beauty of our church, the beauty of our faith. And many of these young people had major conversion experiences as a result of going on this pilgrimage and having them, remove that huge distraction. They're talking in that clip about phone time per day.
Yeah.
And one says, "Oh, ha, 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 mine says 6.5 hours yesterday." And the girl next to her goes, "Oh, mine says 8 hours. 8 hours.
Yeah.
On the phone. 8 hours." Right?
And for the older people listening, we don't mean talking on the phone as a conversation.
No.
Almost zero of those 8
Almost
hours
zero
is
of
that.
Yeah. Hey, here's the thing. I heard a person put it to me this way. They call it dead scrolling. Dead scrolling. Just
Mindless.
mindless, gone, lost into this big giant distraction. And it's sad and scary. And it's not just the young people.
Right.
It's not just the young people.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've popped my head up a few times and realized, I was like, what? Where did that time go?
Right.
And I'm a busy person.
Yeah.
But it's a powerful and manipulative tool. And
it's interesting. It's almost somewhat ironic that Carlo Acutis, who the film focuses on and who we're going to canonize as a saint, you used the technology to kind of bring people to Christ, but also realizing it has another side, and sometimes we need to let it go.
Amen. Yeah. I mean, the thing for me is he taught and talked about prudence, and he talked about limiting your exposure. Right? He had a PlayStation. He played. That's another thing about him, this millennial saint, right? These young kids, they can identify and connect with the things that he talked about because such a young guy. But, I come from a very different sort of mindset. I think that, because I'm a person in recovery and I have an addictive nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's even more dangerous for people like me. And there are many young people that are going to have these issues, these addiction issues they don't even know about yet, right? Because it haven't really manifested itself yet. But here's a way for it to start, right? By just removing them from reality.
Mm-hmm. So if the film is called Carlo Acutis' Roadmap to Reality, what's the reality we're on our roadmap to?
To the beauty of our church, the beauty of our faith, the beauty of each other. And real connection, right? That the roadmap is off the internet, off social media, off the distractions. And, these young people, you can see, I don't know, sometimes maybe I think it's just me, but when I meet people that love Jesus, they have a gleam in their eye, right? When you run into somebody who's recently had a conversion, right? They're like, all on all cylinders. That's what these kids look like at the end of this, end of this trip and at the end of this experience. And, many of them shared very deep and personal stuff about their families and things that they were going through. One young girl's mom was sick at the time, and she didn't even know if she believed in God.
Well, Jim Wahlberg is our guest here on the Busted Halo Show. We're talking about a new movie that will premiere this weekend called Carlo Acutis, Roadmap to Reality. I would look on the bright side, Jim, and say whenever the canonization does happen, then you get another bump. You get like a whole second premiere.
It's a rebump. We're not gonna deny the rebump. And I'm hearing
Part 2, the
rumors,
sequel.
Yeah, I'm hearing rumors, Father, that it's that August is the time frame.
Oh, okay.
For the canonization. So, as far as I'm concerned, once they make the declaration, he's St. Carlo to me.
That's right.
That's the way I look at it, right? It's just the rest of it's a formality, right?
You're right. No, you're right. Yeah, that's right. So what was it? You mentioned you're a Texas friend who actually went to Assisi, met some of the family. What about you? What was your connection to Carlo Acutis? Did you similarly kind of?
I had, as I said, I'm a skeptic. Right. I said to the guy, I said, listen, I'm not looking to do a fluff piece. Right. I want to investigate. And listen, there's no better time and a more needed saint in our times than Carlo Acutis. Our young people, my previous film, you mentioned a film, and then you skipped to Carlo. There was another one right in the middle called Jesus Thirst, The Miracle of the Eucharist. And what we did was we sort of unraveled the Eucharist, right? When we started the process of making this film, I was gung-ho, like Carlo, of wanting to prove the true presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, right? Human flesh. I wanted to look at all the Eucharistic miracles. And it was my dear friend, Dr. Scott Hahn, that called me on a Sunday afternoon. I was not supposed to be using the phone. I was hiding behind a tree in the park. But I had to answer it because it was him. And he said, tell me about your movie, because I was asking him to be in it.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to show people. I want to prove to people. And he goes, I want to show them Eucharistic miracles. And he goes, He said, instead of spending so much time on the Eucharistic miracles, maybe we spend more time on the miracle of the Eucharist. And it was like my heart melted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so beautiful. But when you start looking at numbers, at data, right? 70% of the people in the pews don't believe in the true presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. So I looked at that number, and it's an alarming number. But then you take it to the next equation is there's already 70% of the people missing from the pews, right? So now these are people that actually go to church.
Yeah.
Believe, right? And so now to have this opportunity to share this young man's story and his love for the Eucharist, right? And his desire to want everyone to know about the Eucharist is just it's a gift that I get to do this. This is my job, Father. This is the greatest job that anyone's ever had, right? And 1, 2, 3, the 3 movies, the Mother Teresa movie, the Eucharist movie did better than the Mother Teresa movie, and now I think this one will be huge.
It's called Carlo Acutis, Roadmap to Reality. It premieres as a Fathom event this coming Sunday, April 27th. We've got details on our radio blog as how you can find a theater near you, bustedhalo.com/radio. And again, look for the bump whenever it happens in August during the canonization.
Let's give them the
Carlo
website,
Acutis.
Father. I know you're going to put the information on
Go
there,
ahead.
but
You may
my
say.
people told me if I don't say the website, I can't come home. It's carloacutisfilm.com/tickets.
Tickets.
On over 1,000 screens across the United States of America.
Wow.
Spend that time with your families, your children, your siblings, your classmates, your friends, your members of your parish. Go in a community. I know many groups that bought out theaters, and they'll start with the rosary first.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a beautiful opportunity to come together and honor Francis, honor Carlo, and watch a movie that you can actually watch, because nowadays not much out there.
Right.
I will also say, after the grand success that this film will have when they do fictionalize his life, I think you should get Timothy Chalamet to play Carlo Acutis, because he's a
very
pretty
popular.
big deal, and he still looks
Only
young,
if
even though he's not young anymore.
I mean, I would do it just for the sure confidence that I have that he would have a conversion as a result of doing the film.
I mean, we've seen it,
Yeah.
We've seen
Yeah.
All right, Jim Wahlberg, thank you so much.
Thank you, Father. Thank you all. God bless you guys. And,
God bless you. Great to have
see
you.
you soon.
You will, and again, a link is
You
on
are
our radio.
awesome. Father, can I? You stop there real quick.
No,
I like that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Awesome at this. You're really good at this.
Oh, thank you.
You're really good at this, Eric. You're very good at what you do.
You're so Boston that you just complimented him, but it seemed like a threat before we heard what you.
Hey,
You
shut
stop
up.
right there. You're really good at this.
Don't say
You are
another
really good
word.
at this.
You're okay. Hey, you're much better than you used to be.
That's great.
I'll take it.
Awesome. God bless you guys.
Thank you, Jim. Take care.